Hey my people, how you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic damn day. Welcome back to the channel. It's Throwback Thursdays. That means that we will be breaking down Arsenal's 03-04 Invincibles team under the likes of Arsène Wenger. Of course, a team that went undefeated, hence the name Invincibles. So we're going to try and replicate and recreate their set of tactics in the game FC24. So if you can, please smash the like button, subscribe if you are new. That would be damn near fantastic. Also, if you guys didn't know already, I have changed a few things, including the sound. So I hope the sound does at least sound better. But I have run a few tests and stuff, and it has seemed to be okay. So if you guys can, let me know down below what it sounds like. Obviously, on my end of things, it always sounds great, but on your end of things, it doesn't. So basically, it is going to be a 4-4-2 formation that we've gone with. Obviously, there's a few alterations, but we'll hop on into that first up. Off the bats, introducing the players, we've got Jesus and Odegaard up front, taking the roles of Thierry Henry, as well as Dennis Bergkamp, of course, that strike partnership of the Invincible season. Then we've got the likes of Saka and Martinelli taking up the roles of Robert Pires on the left-hand side, and of course, Freddie Ljungberg on the right-hand side. Then moving slightly deeper, we've got Partey and Rice. They have the very significant roles of the likes of Patrick Vieira, as well as Gilberto. Then moving on into our defensive area, we've got Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, and White. They'll have the roles of Laurent, Toure, Campbell, and Cole. And then finally, between the sticks, I've gone for Aaron Ramsdale because I think he best suits what an outdated goalkeeper is. And I think he best suits what the 03-04 side was. And he'll be having the role of layman. Now, with the formation going forward, of course, I've gone with the 4-4-2 holding, and I have made a few alterations that you can make as well. So firstly, off the bat, we've changed the 1 DM to a central midfielder, and that's the Patrick Vieira role, of course, being a bit more of the box-to-box player, making those runs into the box, towering in headers and scoring goals, of course. Then, of course, we have moved both strikers slightly wider, and that does help replicate what Thierry Henry did with his attacks out wide and out left, especially, starting a lot of them in that wider area, and that's what best replicates that. But then also the likes of Dennis Bergkamp, I've made him also slightly wider, and I've dropped him slightly deeper, making him into a centre forward, and he'll have a very good role in linking up play with the midfield, dropping slightly deeper off the back line, opening up space for the other players to try and work with as well. So basically, it's 1 goalkeeper, 2 centre-backs, 2 full-backs, 1 DM, 1 central midfielder, 2 wide midfielders, 1 centre-forward, and 1 striker. Now, with the tactics going forward, I think the tactical vision, obviously, if you are using this formation in career mode, the tactical vision that I think best represents what the 03-04 Arsenal side tried to do on a daily basis is wing play. I think it offers a lot more. It offers a lot of what they were doing. It offers a bit more freedom in terms of the defensive styles as well. And it just allows you to implement your tactics a bit better and trying to replicate the 03-04 Arsenal side. Now, as for the defensive style, of course, Arsenal, they had, 12 draws. When they needed to be compact and make sure that they didn't concede, they were very, very good at doing so. And I think pressure on heavy touch does look to replicate that structure of the defensive side of things very, very well, waiting for the opposition to make a mistake and then quickly triggering the counter-attack with Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Robert Pires type mold, and then moving the ball forward and progressing it quite nicely. But otherwise, this defensive style is going to look to try and keep the structure, keep the shape, and make sure it's very hard for the opposition to try and break down. Now, as for the team width, it's set to 20, like I say, very compact at the back. When they needed to shut up shop and win a game 1-0, they were very, very capable of doing so. Of course, 20 width is very narrow. It does also help you in making sure that the opposition can't play through the lines, can't fit bodies in between players, and make it very difficult for your defense. So it does help in that aspect. And then as for the team depth, I've gone with a 50. It was a mid-block at times, and sometimes even a bit lower. Sometimes just looking to soak up pressure and then counter-attack, of course. Those 2 banks of 4 were vital. The likes of Dennis Bergkamp dropping in, collecting the ball and then supplying it to Thierry Henry as the outlets at times was essential. So it does also help protect the back line. It helps protect the goalkeeper. Of course, you aren't going to be playing with the sweeper keeper who's running off of his line more times than not, circulating the ball back into play. It was a very much, I'm staying on my line and I'm not really moving too far forward or backwards. I'm just going to try and save the ball. Now, in terms of the offensive play, for the build-up, I've gone with slow-paced build-up, and what this does, it allows the defense just to drop a bit deeper, show for the ball, get on the ball a bit more, supply it into the midfield, and then have them progress the ball higher up the field, and try and also, dominate games, try and dominate the other teams in possession, and that's also why for chance creation I've gone with that, because of course Arsenal, even though they could drop deep and soak up pressure and so on and try and hit teams on the break, they were very, very good at just dominating the pace of play, dominating the game as a whole, having the ball more times than not, absolutely taking the ball away from the opposition at times, making sure that they were very imposing on the offensive side of things. And then in terms of the width, I've gone with a 60, and what this does is it does allow the likes of Thierry Henry to have a bit more freedom and being able to drift out wide. It does create and generate a bit more space between the lines for your forwards to move into. Of course, you do have 4 of them at times, with your wingers getting nice and high up the field as well, being very much involved in the attacks at times. But at the same time, it also allows for your midfield to be nice and compact in certain moments, especially if you do lose the ball. It does allow you to quickly transition into a bit more of a narrower shape and structure. Again, making it very hard for the opposition to try and transition with the ball or try and play those really good passes between the lines. So even if you do lose the ball, you will be able to, shrink a bit more, be a bit more compact as well. Then as for players in the box, I've gone with 8. And what this does is it allows your front 4 to get into the box, and then potentially, obviously, if your winger is whipping in the cross, it allows for the likes of Patrick Vieira / Declan Rice to make those advancing runs into the attacking third, attacking the ball, potentially scoring a few headers. Now, as for the corners and free kicks, as per always, it is set to 4. So we'll start off with the instructions of the goalkeeper, of course, Aaron Ramsdale / Layman. He is set to come for crosses and have a balanced approach for his saving on outside of the box. Of course, 0304, the term sweeper keeper was virtually not a thing. I mean, of course, we've seen it in the past. In the 90s, there were a few keepers that did it, but it wasn't really a thing in the Premier League. And that's why I've gone with a very basic, substandard approach for goalkeeping. Very, very retro-looking goalkeeper approach to the game. And then as for your centre-back pairing, of course, they're set to their base set of instructions. Very defensively sound, and I think if you alter anything in terms of the instructions, it will probably disrupt that. So you don't really want to mess too much with that. Moving out wide, though, to our right back, Leron. He is set to have an attacking run, set to join the attack, of course, being very involved with it. But his run type, which is different to the likes of Zinchenko / Cole, his run type is set to mix. Sometimes joining up with the midfield, other times looking to make those overlapping runs for the likes of Freddie Ljungberg. And then in terms of his defensive position, it is set to stick to that. As for the left-hand side, we've got the likes of Cole. He's set to join the attack as well as making those overlapping runs, consistently providing the width down the left-hand side for the team going forward, supplying those really good crosses into the box for your forwards to try and attack and latch onto as well. Moving on into our midfield, though, we've got the likes of Partey and Rice / the likes of Vieira and Gilberto. Of course, Partey will have the Gilberto role. He is set to have a cut passing and approach, stay back while attacking, and then be very aggressive. Of course, Vieira, by no stretch of the imagination, was very much the enforcer in the midfield, but he was very much supported and backed up by the likes of Gilberto, of course, making sure that they left their stamp and their mark on the game more times than not, especially in the middle of the park. As well as for his positioning freedom, I've set to stick to position. You don't really want him doing too much. And then, of course, creating a nice shield in front of the back line. He will do this with Vieira at times, as well as cover the center, trying to protect the back 4 more times than not. Then finally, we have got the captain himself, Patrick Vieira, playing very much the box-to-box role. Very, very essential to this Invincible season. Of course, the captain that led his team undefeated for, what was it, like 49 games? Incredible, absolutely incredible stats. So he is set to have a balanced attacking support. So sometimes getting forward, other times looking just to soak up the pressure and then potentially make those runs forward, but looking to always support his midfield partner at times. As for his support on crosses, like I said, Vieira does like to make those late runs into the box, and that's why I have set him to be able to get into the attacking third at times. Normal interceptions are set to be on for him, and the reason I've done that is you can set it to aggressive, because of course that would replicate his personality in the game, and we are trying to do that. But in terms of what Gilberto is doing, he's going to be very much the enforcer and be very aggressive. And you don't really want both of your central midfielders to be able to just chase the ball too much, because then it opens up a lot of space in front of your back line. So have the one or the other. That's how I view it, because I have tried both of them on aggressive, and sometimes it does work, especially if you are chasing a game. Other times it tires them out, and what that does is it opens up space in front of your back 4, and you don't really want that. As for the defensive position, I've set it to cover center as well. Of course, like I said, creating that nice shield in front of the back line, making sure that they're protected. And then, in terms of the positioning freedom, having the free roll, being able to pop up in little pockets of space, linking up play very well with the likes of Perez and Bergkamp and so on, and being able to just pop up in those half spaces that are generated with the movements around him. Then moving out to our left mid position, of course, the Robert Perez / Martinelli role. So he is set to come back on defense, having a balance with that time, sometimes looking to hug the touch on, other times looking to cut inside and create, sometimes even looking to join up with the midfield, creating sometimes what seemed to be a midfield three with the likes of Thierry Henry drifting out as a left winger. So in order to replicate that, I've gone with the balance width, set to be balanced of course, and then for his support runs coming short, like I say, linking up with the likes of Vieira as well as Gilberto, forming a formidable midfield three, but at the same time, you do want him to be able to have the ability to drift out wide, supply crosses into the box, be able to link up with the likes of Cole and Thierry Henry. So it does create a nice overloading issue for the opposition in certain moments. And then in terms of his interceptions, I've set it to normal, and then support on crosses, it's balanced. You want him to be able to facilitate on the edge of the area, creating for others, or potentially making those arcing runs into the back post, attacking the ball in the final third. Then we'll move out to the right midfield position, of course, the Freddie Ljungberg position, I would say, / Saka. Of course, he is set to come back on defense, also looking to help his fullback out more times than not, but with the variation to the right or the left-hand side, the right-hand side, you want him to cut inside, creating shot opportunities for himself, as well as being able to try and test the opposition's backline, frequently making those runs in behind, staying on the edge of them and more or less pushing them to make sure that they're very much awake and kept on their toes. As for his interceptions, I've set it to normal, and then you do want him more times than not creating that right wing approach, getting into the box, attacking those balls more or less in and around that area. Then we'll move up to our centre forward role, stay central, target man, normal interceptions are set to be on, and then of course you want him dropping off, linking up play very well with the likes of Vieira and Gilberto, or potentially the likes of Ljungberg, and sometimes even Robert Perez, who does look to slot into the midfield. So you do want him linking up play quite well, sometimes creating overloads in those areas, and other times pulling certain players out of position for Thierry Henry to try and exploit. But basically you do want likes of Dennis Bergkamp being in and around the attacking area, which is why stay central is essential. And of course, him and his link-up play with the players around him was fantastic. One of the best players the Premier League has probably ever seen. Target man is essential for him, of course, very strong physical man. You can also set it to the likes of false nine. I think that also does get the best out of him, but I like the idea of having him as a target man more so. And then finally, we've got the superstar of the team, Thierry Henry / of course, Gabriel Jesus in the situation. He is set to drift wide, of course, starting a lot of his attacks on the left-hand side, and that's why the likes of Perez slotting into the midfield was essential at times, popping up in those little half spaces as well. But we're talking about TT. He is set to drift wide, like I say, starting a lot of his attacks down the left-hand side, making sure that he's attacking the opposition centre-backs or full-backs at an angle with his pace to try and exploit them. He did look to try and get in behind. Like I say, very much like Ljungberg tried to do on the right-hand side, Thierry Henry on the left-hand side / the left forward role, or left striker role, I should say. He would also try and do the same thing. Normal interceptions are asked to be on. You don't really want to try and overuse him and with any closing down of certain angles or anything like that. Of course, very capable of implementing a press himself, of course, winning that ball back and then transitioning into attack. But in terms of what you need to get out of him on a consistent basis, normal interceptions does do the best job. As for his basic defensive support, I've set it to balance because you do want him to be the outlet ball, yes, but if you are needing to soak up pressure and have him start slightly deeper, if he is set to stay forward, he doesn't really do that. The link-up play isn't really there for him. So sometimes you do want him just to drop a bit deeper with the likes of Dennis Bergkamp and so on, and then if you win the ball back, you can quickly transition into attack with your players and your forward line, of course. So yes, my people, I hope I've done Arsène Wenger's Invincible 0304 side justice in the game FC24. If you have enjoyed this, like I say, as per always, smash the like button. It lets YouTube know I am doing a good job on this platform. Support the channel, please. That would be fan-damn-tastic. But most importantly, until the next time, I hope you have a damn great day. I'm out.